Hello, my name is Dr. Janine Johnson. I'm a chiropractic physician with a special expertise in diabetes prevention and pre-diabetes reversal. Today I'm going to shock you with information that could potentially save lives. So let's start with a simple question. Do you know that almost 1 out of 3 people in America are either diabetic or pre-diabetic? According to the CDC, 80 million Americans are pre-diabetic and 28 million are diabetic. This disease does not generate fear because it can simmer for years, damaging the heart, kidneys, eyes, and other organs that often only surfaces in middle age and accepted by many doctors as a simple part of the aging process. People are usually diabetic for years before actually being diagnosed. There should be an outcry, as it is estimated that in the next 24 hours, 5,200 people will be diagnosed with diabetes, over 800 will die from it, and almost 300 will go blind or have an amputation. There are more complications, including heart disease, high blood pressure, nervous system damage, liver damage, and Alzheimer's. Why is there an epidemic of type 2 diabetes? While there is a genetic component to diabetes, people have full control as to whether or not by the choices they make in their diet and exercise. The core problem has to do with people's eating habits and its consequences that include excessive weight and especially abdominal fat, lack of nutrients as people eat junk food and processed foods, and lack of exercise. You can see how our food habits have changed over time with just sugar and grain consumption, almost a 40-fold increase with sugar alone. Wondering where all that sugar is coming from? Here is a clue. Just look at the typical foods people eat, and you will see they all have high carbohydrate content, which can be as unhealthy as refined sugar if overeaten. Bad food habits include induced stresses to the human body that promote all kinds of diseases. Junk food will increase consumption of refined sugar, sodium, and saturated fat, while reducing consumption of vegetables, fibers, key minerals, omega-3 fats, vitamins, antioxidants, and beneficial probiotic bacteria. The other side of the coin is the increase in portion size and calorie intake since the 1970s. Portion sizes are about half what they are today. How has our eating habits affected us? Look at our weight 20 years ago. No state had a high obesity rate, and most were less than 10%. Today, no state has an obesity rate below 10%, and most are over 25%. In addition, our healthcare system is not promoting prevention. We are waiting for disease conditions to set in, and then we manage the disease. This is why experts are predicting America will go bankrupt with healthcare costs. We are already seeing the effect of a disease care system on companies and individuals. The status quo is not sustainable, especially when the CDC is predicting that if nothing changes, out of all infants born today, 1 out of 2 will become diabetic as adults in the future. The bad news, no silver bullet to solve this problem. The good news is diabetes is preventable. Let's analyze the progression of diabetes. As we said, for most people, it starts with bad eating habits that result in excess weight and nutritional deficiencies. Over time, this leads to insulin resistance, where people start noticing high levels of blood glucose resulting from defects in insulin production and receptor sensitivity that causes sugar to build up in the body. In conjunction with these changes, people start noticing elevated lipids such as triglycerides and LDL cholesterol. However, years before people are diagnosed with diabetes, they're in a pre-diabetic zone. But what is crazy with our healthcare system is that the typical physician will monitor elevated blood sugars and wait for people to become a diabetic and then begin medication. What is not explained is that for about 90% of people who do go onto conventional care and diabetic medication, the complications are not prevented. So what is conventional care for diabetes and pre-diabetes? Some will be prescribed high blood pressure medications and or statin drugs. Once diabetic, people are put on certain diabetic medication and recommended an eating plan that is useless and in fact can even be dangerous for people with diabetes. These steps do not get the condition under control. Under 12% of diabetics being treated with medication have their blood pressure, blood sugars, and cholesterol under control. The simplest way to beat this disease is to prevent it. This was proven in a landmark study in 2001 that showed prediabetes can be prevented from becoming diabetes with weight management, correct eating habits, and regular exercise. The easiest way to determine if you are pre-diabetic is to answer a questionnaire available with this presentation that will highlight probability of pre-diabetes. So how can pre-diabetes reversal be accomplished? First, we need to get rid of abdominal fat as it drives metabolic syndrome. People will then see immediate changes as damaging inflammatory chemicals released by fat cells are reduced. People also need to have healthy food habits, optimal eating 3 times a day, eating fruits, veggies, and fiber in combination with protein, which gives the body crucial amino acids needed to build muscle mass instead of fat, and minimize eating junk food, which is void of nutrients. The nutritional deficiencies are important because people who are pre-diabetic are deficient in zinc, chromium, magnesium, and are low in essential fatty acids. Exercise is always recommended, even if it's just walking for 20 minutes. To make all this possible, a structured system needs to be used. My system works like this. I have people eat according to a meal plan that puts their body into a biochemical state to burn excess fat, especially abdominal fat, while not having any hunger. In between meals, a nutritional snack is taken to prevent any cravings, as people will be on an elimination diet. There will be one program for men and a different one for women. 7 different meal plans are provided so that our 7 suggested breakfasts, lunches, and dinners, and that way people do not get bored with what they eat. If the suggestion of 60 grams of beef or the 35 grams of spinach for dinner is not to your fancy, you have a simple way of substituting the protein and carb as shown here. A 4-page symptoms questionnaire is completed before this eating plan is started, and the same questionnaire is completed at the end of 3 weeks. Here are the 14 health conditions we evaluate. The results of the questionnaire may show 4 severes, 6 moderates, and 4 mild conditions. However, the challenge is to know the root cause of the symptoms, as they could be due to bad food habits, excessive weight, nutritional deficiency, or a chronic condition. But as you go into an elimination diet and lose fat, the changes in the responses to the same questionnaire 3 weeks later can give great insight as to the root cause of your symptoms. The new results may now change to 1 severe, 2 moderates, and 4 mild. To a trained specialist, this provides a wonderful insight into the root cause of your symptoms and a roadmap on steps needed to prevent diabetes and promote wellness. All this information will be provided and explained at the end of 3 weeks, where an action plan is provided to abdominal fat status and how much more weight needs to be lost, blood sugar support needs if unhealthy eating habits are resumed, existence of potential food sensitivities or allergies that may need addressing, possibility of chronic conditions needing attention, correcting nutritional deficiencies to prevent chronic conditions from developing, and a host of other important wellness markers that will be explained at the meeting. If these wellness markers are ignored, over time they will become disease conditions. A great example of this is diabetes that is costing America $174 billion a year because people are waiting to become a diabetic instead of preventing it. Don't be the last one to jump onto the prevention bandwagon. The greatest gift of health you can give yourself is to determine if you are pre-diabetic, and if so, take the steps needed to reverse this dangerous condition before it's too late. And in the process, experience weight loss, increased energy, better sleep, and overall wellness. Thank you again for listening. To learn more about diabetes prevention, give us a call at 231-882-5533. Goodbye and take care.